and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Honcast here, where, yes, that is right, I'm back. We got Honcast coming back at you, and we got some good stuff to talk about when it comes to competitive Heroes of New Earth especially, and really just Heroes of New Earth in general. So welcome to the podcast, guys, here. What is December 2nd? 2014. It has been a little bit here. Obviously, we've had a couple weeks break here with Hon Tour due to vacation, or due to more so holiday season and whatnot, at least here in America. I gotta say I had a pretty good time, but at the same time, man, I missed Hon. I really did. I really missed some Hon, so it's good to be back. Good to be talking some Heroes of New Earth at the very least, and then eventually this coming weekend, continuing what's going to be cycle number 6. God, we are really getting in there. Anyways, as you can see, got a plethora of co-casters, as always, for these podcasts. So I'll throw it around. First things first, joined by Quincy here. Quincy, how's it going?
Hi, doing pretty good.
Doing
Excited
good?
for cycle 6 this year. I agree, this break is too long.
It is.
On.
It is, man.
It's a problem.
You enjoy your vacation at least, or?
Yeah, I mean, got together with some family and friends for Thanksgiving. That was nice. My sister came back in town. She's in New York for college, so good to see her. And ate a lot of mashed potatoes.
That's always a good
much
thing. Stuffing,
how it
mashed
went.
potatoes, man, good stuff. We got two non-Americans here on the cast. They probably have no clue what we're talking about. No. One of the other co-casters here, that one and only Mini Maggot. Mini, how's it going, man?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. Obviously, I was casting with Beef last week on the live rounds tournament, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was nice casting with Beef as well, man. I've missed him. It's good times.
He's a good guy. I miss him as
Good
well.
laugh.
We tried to maybe get him on the podcast, but he's like, let's get, if St. Rock wants to do it, let's get say, so we brought.
He was ill, though. He was really ill.
He
on
was pretty
Sunday.
sick as well, so. He was a trooper, though, with that said. So, yeah, props to Beef especially for stepping up and casting this week. And, again, I would have loved to be there, but I had some family time, so. But Beef does a great job as always. And then, speaking of St. Rocks, we got the one and only St. Rocks here. You guys know him, sure. How's it going, man?
It's going fine, man. Took a little break here at DreamHack, and we're back. Missed streaming.
That's right. You actually went to DreamHack. Now, Han wasn't there as a competition by any means, unfortunately. But, I mean, from what I heard, I'll let you say. I mean, what was DreamHack like? Was that, I'm sure, a good time here?
DreamHack was CS.
Was Counter-Strike?
Like that, yeah, it was just all about the CS. There was, like, half-filled seats at Dota, and, like, maybe 1/3 at StarCraft, and then when Nib was playing, or some Swedish team was playing, like the entire CS:GO arena was just like taking up the entire DreamHack. But it was a great event.
I got the chance to talk with Milkfed actually. He just got back to the office today and everything, and of course he went out there from the Han team. One of the only guy from our team actually that was able to go out there. But he actually mentioned a lot of Han players were actually there, not only yourself, but players like of course Lapped, a couple of Sync players, and even Haxer has showed up apparently.
Yep.
All the way
we had
from
dinner
Denmark.
with him.
So that's kind of cool seeing that, I'm sure. And who knows what the future holds? Who knows what the future holds? But
who knows?
We'll see. We'll see. Anyways, good to have you on the cast, and I know you do a lot of streaming yourself and everything with the scrims. And hell, you were just streaming a scrim. We had to cut you off.
Yeah, pretty much. Casting with Mini Maggot.
I know.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone hates me now. They're like, oh god, they're cutting it off because gotta get breaking on with the podcast. No, anyways, though, we got a good amount to talk about now. As usual, I want to keep this, nothing too long here, about an hour or so. So we'll start jumping into it. Of course, we got not only Cycle 5. Yes, that's right. I know it's been a little bit here, but going to take a look back a little bit at Cycle 5, or kind of recap what happened there, give our thoughts. We got, of course, a look forward to Cycle 6 coming up, which, again, this starts this weekend, guys. The live rounds 5v5 Cup, that Mini Maggot and Beef cast, and he was just talking about this last weekend. And we'll even start previewing a little bit, getting some discussion going about 2014 awards. I mean, it's about that time here at the end of the year. Here it is December, so we've done one since, I believe, 2011, even maybe 2012 is when we started. But anyways, point being, make it a yearly thing. I know we're not alone. I mean, everyone really does this, but hey, we have our own fun with it, so we'll start maybe discussing that and previewing that a little bit as well. And then also, hopefully later on, we'll be joined by the one and only Waza, as he'll talk about some upcoming the award slot edition, which definitely is going to be some good discussions, I'm sure, and how it may impact things. But anyways, we'll start at Cycle 5 and how things look there. So, as I like to do, kind of get some questions going on and get the discussions going. Cycle 5, Sync Esports ultimately taking it, of course, in the end. They once again just look dominant after losing their first cycle of the season. They come back in Cycle 5, definitely making a statement here, and ultimately defeating Nullstone. What was the finals, as you can see by the brackets right there on your screen, guys. Again, HonTour.com, you can check this out for yourself. Now, the first question I have speaking of the brackets here and the results, which was more disappointing? So kind of a negative note to start, I guess, but hey, we'll start with that anyway. So which was more disappointing here? Was it BMG finishing 5th, 6th place, or was it even Dawn, the previous, runner-up team, ultimately, or the 3rd place team, I should say, finishing or being dropped out of gold as they got knocked out by Rexars in that first round? So we'll start with Quincy here. Quincy, what do you think?
I think you gave us these questions a day or two ago, and I have been trying to figure this one out ever since then, because it's a really big question. In the end, I'm going to go with BMG, just because I feel like Dawn's strategy is mostly, let's give all the farm to Probusk and have him carry us, which worked really, really well when people didn't shut down Probusk, and then people figured out, hey, let's shut down Probusk. And since then, it kind of hurts their strategy a lot. They don't seem to have too much else in the pocket besides what do we do if Probusk doesn't get farm? And I think when you look at it from that perspective, it's a lot easier to see them losing in the first couple of rounds. They also got matchups that weren't necessarily stuff that they, it's the worst thing for them to lose to. They lost to Null, who ended up finishing 2nd. They lost to Rexars, who's a very good team, and actually swept Gold Cycle 4 previously, which is better than Dawn usually does in Gold. So that wasn't that surprising, I guess, in the end when I thought about it more, but BMG should have, under no circumstances, lost to Ogre. And I love Ogre. I cast with a bunch of those guys a lot. They're all very, very great people. And it's a good team, but BMG should not have lost that series. That shouldn't have happened. And then losing to Null again, I'm not even sure if that should have happened, despite the fact that Null went on to beat Willowkeeper, and then they played in the grand finals, sort of. But I don't know. I still can't figure out how that happened. Like, it happened 3 weeks ago, and I still can't figure it out. I don't understand. It makes no sense to me.
I mean, it's still, you can say it's probably the craziest result we've had ever in Hon Tour. I mean, a first-round matchup, the #1 reigning team that's coming from a previous cycle victory loses in the first round to a team coming from gold. That's never happened before. So
I went back and cast the first couple of games of that series, too, and Game 1, BMG won, but it took about 45 minutes, and Ogre was actually dominating them for about 30 of those 45 minutes. And then they kind of had some issues with closing the game out. They lost a couple of team fights and ended up losing the game. But that series wasn't even as close as 2-1 suggests it was.
Yeah.
Because Ogre could honestly have won it in 2 games if they had been able to finish out that first game. So not only the fact that BMG lost the series, but that they didn't even look that great playing Shrek is Love, that's crazy to me. So.
Yeah. I promise I was listening, but at the same time, Minnie's just like, I don't know what.
Sorry.
He's enjoying his new flat there. And
Excuse me, I'm sorry. But so pretty much,
don't even care.
I cooked this steak, and it.
Smoking.
I burnt it completely.
Yeah.
And I can feel the smoke in my eyes. I'm not even kidding you. It's like, it burns.
Welcome to living on your own, man.
I apologize.
One of many things.
Rule number 1:
learn.
don't cook steak.
Yeah, don't cook steak on the stovetop. There you go.
You need a wife to do that.
Oh wow, wow. We'll just move along here. Mini Maggot. Okay, so I know you missed a little bit of that from Quincy.
Oh no, I was listening. I've got speakers. That's good.
Oh, look at that. Jeez. Anyways, what is your take on this? What do you think was more disappointing?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, BMG losing and coming 56 is like nowhere near where they want to be. They want to be like top 2, if not top 1. Like with the kind of new roster they're getting and stuff it's big. But at the same time, like, I think Dawn, like, dropping down to gold, like, they were like the up and coming team with ProBoss. They were looking so strong, and to me, with BMG like coming 5th and 6th, like, I think it's something that would maybe sort of cause change. Like, I think obviously they picked up Zibby after they finished 5th and 6th. No, they dropped Zibby. Sorry, after 5th and 6th. Am I correct?
Yeah, they have to.
But with Dawn, like, losing or dropping down to gold, like, that could be potentially making them disband. And to me, that's a bigger deal. Like, if one bad result can make you disband, then to me, I think that's more disappointing in that respect. So I have to say, Dawn getting knocked down to gold is a little bit more disappointing.
Saint, your turn. What do you think?
I think I'm not I don't know. I came into the cycle telling my stream that BMG could either drop down to gold, or they could win the cycle again. I am not surprised whatsoever. I guess since I have some friends in BMG, I'm a little bit disappointed in them. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they lost to Ogre. it just took one bad day for that team in order to just lose. Like they did that against Rexars as well. They were super unstable. I hope they have stabilized with the new pickups. And Dawn getting knocked down the goal, as QUINCY was saying, it's just a matter of like they ran one very easily countered strat. Like, make sure Probus doesn't Probus you, and then you're fine. So I mean, of course, I feel like they're good enough to stay in Diamond, but there's also at the same time there's a lot of skilled teams in Gold as well.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'd say it's a 50-50 for me.
Yeah, I mean, Dawn losing a Nullstone right off the bat, a team that eventually became the runner-up of the cycle, you know, that's really nothing too crazy there by any means, and that's a tough first-round matchup. So, you know, the loss to Rexars at the same time, you could say, I mean, we knew these guys going for a goal. This is going to be a hot team to watch as far as their success, and they showed that here in what was cycle number 5. So, but Dawn just simply ran into some tough opponents and ultimately knocked down as a result. So, I would say BMG because of that too. So, for that kind of logic right there, BMG just simply they sure had a tough ride themselves as far as the losers bracket, but yeah, that loss to Shrek is love as QUINCY, but that should not and does not ever happen, but it did here in this case. So definitely more disappointing in that sense. All right, moving things along though, as once again I got plenty to talk about here. Let's take a look at Sync Esports, a little more on the positive side here even. So this is one of now 4 cycles that Sync has won. Was this the most dominant cycle that Sync has won? Now, they did drop one game here, of course, in Nullstone, and what was the round of 4, you can call it. But in the end, they take it, including the grand finals, which they swept Nullstone as they faced off against them once again. So, what do you guys think? Once again, going around, we'll start with QUINCY here. What do you think about Sync here?
I did some research on this one, actually, too. The only other cycle where they had as strong a record was Cycle 3, where they also went 8-1. They had a slightly lower average game time in that cycle, which suggests that maybe they went a little bit faster, but that was actually because the one game they lost in about 25 minutes. And this time, the one game they lost, it took them about an hour. So, yeah, I'm going with most dominant cycle. Every single other cycle, they either had a worse record or, like in Cycle 3, they had a really bad loss to Willowkeeper. And other than that, they did great, but losing a game that badly suggests to me that they weren't quite on their game as much as they were this cycle, but they clearly got a fire lit under them after they lost to BMG in Cycle 4, and that's what's going to happen every so often, I think, whenever you have a team that's like, look, we won 3 straight cycles, it becomes really easy to get complacent, and the easiest and most consistent way to take away that complacency is to lose something. That's exactly what happened. And then when that happens, you're like, oh, well, crap, I guess we actually do have to try a little bit. And you get a lot more focused, you get a lot more contained, and you practice more and stuff like that. And then you turn in a much better performance. And that's what we saw out of Sync. And I think this was the best performance we've seen out of them, which, considering they've won 4 or 5 cycles and they've just now turned in their best performance, I would be worried if I was other teams.
Yeah, only 3 more cycles to go, and they're comfortably sitting in that #1 spot currently. That is safe to say. Mini Maggot, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be Sync's most dominating fashion. I think it all goes back down to the finals, though. Like, them, they just absolutely dominated Nullstone Gaming. I think they dropped one. Yeah, they dropped one game to Nullstone Gaming. That was in the round of 8 matches, wasn't it?
Round of 4.
Round of 4, yeah, sorry. And outside of that, they didn't lose any games. And then to them to just absolutely dominate and thrash them in the finals, to me, just felt like the most dominating sort of cycle they've had, really.
St. Rocks, you think Sync was dominant?
I think the fact that they swapped out Insania, it Flens for Insania when it comes to Drafter, I think that definitely has helped them. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it happened like after they lost to BMG, like the cycle after that was when it took effect. And it just seems that they have so, like, I'm watching a lot of, I'm casting almost all their scrims, and they have some really, really solid drafting. Flens, back in time, he could have like oops, that happened. But Insania is just very, very solid. And I definitely think we're gonna see like they're gonna be setting a trend here of keep dominating with the way this cycle has been going.
Yeah. Hey, part of me is like, it might be kind of cool to see that, but the other part is like, I mean, we've talked about this before, both Season 1 and Season 2. Eventually, it seems like we have ultimately 2 teams, if not even a third team kind of thrown in there, but if Sync keeps this up, man, I mean, they could definitely be that dominant team. I mean, State Green definitely was to an extent for Season 2, but at the same time, if you remember, hell, BMG won 4 of the 5 final cycles, I think it was, where State Green won the first 4 of the 5. So it's I don't know if we're going to get that here in Season 3, but it's possible, of course, but it does seem like Sync is right now very dominant.
Maybe. I mean, Recent Gaming has beaten them here in a bunch of scrims lately, so who knows?
Scrims are telling to an extent.
Yeah.
And they beat them in the 5v5 Cup as well.
Yep.
And then
That's
BMG
the
beat
one.
them in the
that
5v5
doesn't count.
Cup.
Guys, that doesn't count.
I was going to say,
It doesn't count. Like,
I was there at DreamHack with Flint's and Slab. They were not.
Yeah, no,
they were
trust me,
not all there.
I'm just saying.
All
They
right.
did beat them in the 5v5 Cup.
Hey,
It may not have been the most
They're a confidence
telling,
booster, if anything. There you go.
It is. It was.
All right, so again, they moved along here as far as Cycles 5 concerned. What was more impressive, do you guys think? Now, we've talked a little bit about Nullstone. You know, they finished second place overall. This is their best finish yet, and, you know, definitely representing America. That's always a good thing. Or was it both of the gold teams? For the first time, again, it's kind of a different format than it was how 8 teams instead of 16, but still, point being, this is very, very rare how both gold teams ultimately stayed and are going to be going to Diamond once again next cycle, that being, of course, Rexars and Shrek is Love. Well, what do you guys think about this one here? Quincy?
I also had trouble figuring out which one of these two I wanted to pick. I think ultimately I went with the gold teams because Nullstone's been up there before. They had issues beating Tree in Cycle 2, but they finished third, and then they sort of took a couple of cycles off in some sense and came back here. But this is something that we've seen them do before, and they are a really, really solid team when they're on their game, and they can have highs like this. So that's something that I can realistically see them doing. I didn't expect Ogre to stay in Diamond for longer than about 2 hours, to be honest. Like, between the round of 8 and lose bracket round 1, I figure you guys got about 2 hours, and then you're back down into gold. Again, love them. I know. Cast with the guys. I'm just trying to be purely objective here, and Cluck's gonna give me a lot of crap for this, but like, which just makes it all that more impressive to me.
Yeah.
They absolutely exceeded my expectations. They looked very, very good, and whether or not that will continue, I don't know. But their new roster seems to be working at their new roster, because Ogre changes players like every single cycle. But they seem to have worked out very, very well. They're looking for a jungle player now, so it's they literally change players every single cycle. So they're looking for a jungle player. We'll see how that affects them. I don't know if they're going to stay in Diamond for next cycle, but I guess at this point I can't be surprised anymore. Rex are staying in Diamond, also not that surprising. People have generally considered them a really, really strong team. So
you say they're looking for a jungle player. We just so happen to have a guy that plays jungle on this cast that isn't actually on a team right now.
Yeah, I don't mind joining.
Hey, man.
I'd join. I don't mind.
No, Minnie, no.
It's free money. Free Hunter money.
Free money. That's Diamond team. Then to an extent, that is true.
Let's just say I've had my conversations with Cluck.
All right.
Yeah.
Cannot confirm or deny.
Ooh.
There you go. It's inside information. That's why you tune in the podcast here. But inside stuff. Anyways, Mini Maggot, what do you got here?
Didn't Nullstone get second place before?
We've been over. I think you brought this up last time. They got third place. Yeah.
They got third place in cycle 2.
Here.
Damn it!
So close.
I think it has to be like both gold teams stand up though. Like that's like the first time in Hon history, probably. I believe that both gold teams have stayed up.
Again, yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna say it is regardless because I mean like yeah it is.
I checked it.
And I mean I think to me the reason why it's big not only is because Shrek and Rexar stayed up, but they had to obviously knock down Night Raid and Dawn, whether it was them directly or not. They were above Night Raid and Dawn, and those two teams are incredibly strong. So for them to stay in gold in such an incredibly fierce and competitive Diamond division, to me I think is very, very impressive. So. That's my vote, without a doubt.
All right. St. Rocks, what do you think was more impressive to you?
I think Ogre and, was it Recent Gaming? Ogre and Recent Gaming? Rexars. I think both of those teams are, like, the thing is, like, Sync is sort of on their own, like, they're, like, on the top of the mountain here, and then we got some like, basically everyone below Sync, maybe except for BMT, they're like very close skill-wise, team-wise, in my opinion. So it's not actually surprising to me to see like Ogre and Rexer stay in Diamond. It's more surprising that Nullstone Gaming actually did really well after the sort of break they had. That was break, but they surprised me. They did really well. So I would definitely go with the Nullstone finishing second.
Yeah, I Murica all the way, but no, I really think Nullstone, as far as the result there, just because of the trek they had to go. I mean, even taking the one game off of Sync Esports in the round of 4, and it was an impressive victory. Definitely, it's not like it was a fluke. They deserve that win. The good old Oogie coming through for them. So, and then they had to, of course, defeat BMG in the losers, then Rexars, then Willowkeeper, then eventually run into the tough Sync team in the end. But sure. So I really would lean towards Nullstone Gaming as a result of that. I mean, Rexar Shrek, it is impressive, definitely, but I don't know if that's going to continue into next cycle, as I think everyone kind of touched on there. As far as staying into Diamond, we'll see. We'll see, though. Starts this weekend. There you go.
By the way,
yep.
I looked it up, and Cycle 2, both Wapdash and Nullstone stayed in Diamond. They were the ones that got promoted. And if you consider the qualifiers, like the previous Gold cycle, technically in Cycle 1, Rexars and Dawn were the ones that made it in from the qualifiers, and they both stayed in the next cycle.
Oh,
but they
like, Quincy, you meant to make me look good, not.
I
to
know,
sort of
really. You
wrong,
just
right?
totally
Just
trash this subject, man.
I'm meant to bring the facts. What you have to do is be right.
Dang.
And if you're right, I will always make you look good. Because you'll be right.
Well, I'm always right. So, here's speaking of stats here. We got our next topic. We got this fun one. As you like to have fun with these, as Quincy comes through here. You got a couple here that definitely stood out to me that you pointed out that from Cycle 5. So Nullstone Gaming. So basically, to break it down here, they actually played the most games in a cycle so far at 16 games. The previous, I believe, you said was 13. So 3 more games than the previous one. And then overall, as far as every team playing, we had 68 matches, which was the second most throughout Hon Tour Season 3 so far. So that's, pretty solid there, meaning a lot of series, going the distance, which is always good. The other stat, though, 6 of the 10 most picked heroes were under 50% win percentage. Also found very intriguing there. How you figure more they're picked, it might be a little bit better on the success rate, but weren't here in this case. Anyways, we'll throw this for a loop here. We'll go the other way. St. Rock, so what do you think?
So I want to touch on the 6 of the 10 most picked heroes, the 50% win. I mean, as much as we all love stats, I don't put that much effort in, like, I don't give them too much respect, emphasis. Yeah. It feels like, if they're the most picked heroes, they're gonna be picked a lot. That means both the good teams and the less experienced teams will be picking them. So you're gonna have, like, if you could tell me that the best teams have won a lot with this one hero, then sure, I don't know. I hope you get what I'm saying.
I do. Yeah. No, I do.
Yeah. It's a little of there might be some inexperienced teams that are playing a new hero that Sync has made work really well, and then they can't make it work because they're not playing this. They're not Mickey. Maybe happens. So, I mean, it's interesting, definitely, but I think you gotta look into between the lines here. And when it goes to the other one, I'm not really sure what to think about that. I guess that's okay for Nullstone. I mean, does it mean that their series have gone like they've had
basically means
some
they've
long
gone
series?
The distance quite a bit, yeah. So
yeah, well, I mean that's a lot of practice.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they're doing well.
There you go. That's a good way. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, they for their series actually went 2-1 from what I'm looking at here. The Dawn, the Sync matchup, the BMG, and the Willowkeeper matchup all went the distance. So a lot of practice. That's a good way to put it. Mini Maga, what do you think of these stats here?
I think it has to be 6 out of 10 heroes were under 50% win rate because, like most MOBAs, but Hon in particular, like the terms of the draft, in terms of continual picks, it is completely based on trends, put simply. And like if one team are doing it, another team is going to follow it. It's just common human nature. And for all the top heroes to sort of have a lower % win chance, hopefully that's going to spur like a new sort of meta game change and have some more heroes in the scene, which is always like a nice thing to have. And like me and Saint were like watching some streams, and we've seen a lot more heroes, like particularly like Thunderbringers, like being used a lot more. And so who knows?
That was
like little things like that. And the stats just sort of back out that the heroes that we're normally seeing every day, day in, day out, don't always have the highest like win percentage, and I think that's the most coolest fact in that respect, because there is a lot more room for innovation, which I'm all for. So definitely that one.
All right, Quincy, you got what is your take? And I'm sure you got other stats to back them up as well.
I have all sorts of stats. I may not bust all of them out right now, but yeah, it's got to be it's weird that you'd see 6 of 10 heroes like that be under 50% win, because typically what happens is obviously heroes that are good get picked more. So you wouldn't expect heroes that are picked a lot to be bad, because teams should figure out, yeah, this is not a great hero and we won't pick it. And it does mitigate some of the issues that Sant was talking about with bad teams picking it up, because if it's getting picked that often, that means usually it's a pretty good distribution between good teams and bad teams picking it up. So it should be winning at the very least evenly, and it should be winning more often with the good teams, because they should be realizing, like, you know, we're going to pick these heroes a lot because they're good, and we are good drafters, and we are good players, so they should have a higher win percent. And if you look at Haunter Season 3 overall, of the top 10 most picked heroes, Torture is the only one that's sub 50%, and he's at 37.5. So that trend holds up if you look at the season as a whole. In this particular cycle, it seems like people are either not that great with top-picked heroes, or they don't really know, they weren't a little bit unsure where to go in terms of their picks. It's not like these picks were that different in terms of what they were. It's like Tempest, Magnus, Kraken, stuff that we see a lot, but maybe people are trying to figure out, or maybe people are figuring out how to counter them, is the thing. And since we've seen them so often, teams are like, well, yeah, we have to have a game plan for these heroes, so they do. And then they lose. It's like this. It's this exact same thing that's happened with Rhapsody, and Magnus actually overtaking Rhapsody as the most picked hero in Haunter Season 3 this last cycle, because first 2 cycles Rhapsody was great. She was 65% win. In the last 3 cycles, she's been in the low 40s, because people have figured out how to beat Rhapsody. And then people stop picking Rhapsody as much. And so that's essentially how the meta has shifted right now. And so that, I think this is indicating that maybe a hero like Kraken is on the way out. I don't remember if he was one of the 4. I don't think he was. I can pull it up right now. Maybe this, like Tempest, I think, was below. Yeah, so the full list is Tempest, Rhapsody, Glacius, Pebbles, Bubbles, and Keeper of the Forest. Rhapsody typical, but Tempest, like, not winning that many games. Maybe he's on the way out. Pebbles is being picked up a lot, not winning that many games. Same thing with Bubbles. These are heroes we've seen a lot, and perhaps people are figuring out ways to counter them.
Yeah, it does seem like the jungle idea, though, is kind of making a very strong comeback, and, well, it has really, especially with these last couple of cycles, too. So, you know, it's, as usual, going through a season, you know, we have the ups and downs, we have the transitions as far as the meta goes, and going to be no different here in what it has been Season 3 at least. So good stuff. There we go. So that's the fun stats there. Again, Quincy coming through as always with that. So appreciate that. Cycle 5. So there you go. That pretty much wraps up Cycle 5. What we wanted to talk about. So again, hopefully that gave you guys a good recap for what eventually will be this weekend. And also, I know all you guys love the videos that we do for the cycle recaps. That should be out later this week as well to give you a fun time of what you may miss some from that action. So, but that leads us into now what is going to be Cycle 6 coming up here, of course. And once again, that starts this weekend, guys. So we will be back. Some more good old competitive Heroes of New Earth coming at you. The brackets aren't actually up yet on the Hot Tourist side, so unfortunately I can't pull them up by any means. But with that said, we got Cycle 6 around the corner, and you know, there are still some good things to talk about. Now, one of the bigger ones is BMG, Bad Monkey Gaming. Now they got a new roster here. They got a new roster. I didn't actually put it on this image here, but basically their new roster. So they still have Tankafet, Super KG, and Haxerin, but Support and Zibe no longer a part of the team. They have actually been replaced by Owned Me and Fine. Masera also on there as a 6, but I believe yeah, that was just for this last weekend here for the live rounds tournament. But anyway, so that's their new 5. Owned Me and Fine joining the roster in place of Zibe and Support. First things first, I mean, I don't know if anyone here has any inside information. Do we know what exactly the reason for this was, or was it just kind of just...
Yeah.
Okay, well,
yeah.
St. Rocks,
Totally.
Want to say?
Yeah. So there was some... Tankafet was not... Fuck it, we're going to spill the beans here. Tankafet was not playing... Tankafet and Support were not doing too hot together. And it, like, I don't know, the team had a hard time dealing with some attitude that support was putting up. Not necessarily him, like he wasn't. It was not that he was a bad player, but there was just not the synergy between them was not that great. So the team kind of agreed. Well, the team except for support agreed that it wasn't really working out unless you try something new. That's the reason for that. And Sibba had some trouble with KG. They didn't really get along too well.
Okay.
Resulting in KG saying, "Hey, I think we should try someone new."
Okay. So that's the simple way to put it, I guess. But yeah, no, it's okay. So you're typical, things just not kind of working out. And,
yeah, it's just they want to try something new.
Nothing too crazy there, I guess. Yeah, again, understandable. Again, they had a very disappointing result there in Cycle 5, especially after winning Cycle 4. So changes happening. All right, though. So let's go over this question here now. With this new roster, how do we think they're going to do? And as I put in the question, what are the chances that they're actually going to finish a top 3 performance here? What do you think their chances are? Quincy, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go, I want to say less than 50%. Generally, I don't like to hype teams up a lot right before they make roster changes because I feel like it takes some time for them to get in sync and on the same page, even if they're not sync. And BMG adding 2 new players. They had some practice in the 5v5 Cup, which is nice, but then they didn't even have Haxer and they had to use Masera. It's not that it means anything, just that they have some time to work together, and they have also a couple of cycle break, which means that they can run more scrims, which is good for them, but I still think that they are going to need to have some time and a couple of cycles of Hondor. And right now, 2 through about 5 in Hontour is ridiculously competitive. We've got Willowkeeper, Nullstone, Reason, BMG, and now we're starting to add Rexars to that conversation. Yeah. We have to think about Ogre even at the back end of it. We're going to have Prime Icarus coming back up from Gold as well. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could conceivably finish in those top 2 spots. I think Sync is guaranteed one of them. There's no question about that. But BMG has some stuff going against them in terms of their team synergy because they are now, again, a relatively new team, and they're going to have to compete with some people who have shown the ability to beat them in the past. So I don't expect them to finish top 3. I expect them to stay in Diamond, no problem. I expect them to probably finish top 5, but that's probably about as high as they're going to get.
Mini Maggot, what do you think?
I'm sorry, man. I completely forgot what you just said. I'm too much involved in this Twitch chat. Can you repeat?
BMG finishing top 3 here in Cycle 6. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm there. To be fair, I think whenever you get rid of a player that has had kind of issues, because obviously I know Saint Rox has said that there's been a little bit of an issue. Someone said one thing, but those kind of feelings were deep down. Those kind of feelings were there when you were Cycle 1, Cycle 2, Cycle 3, and although they weren't sort of present or on the surface at that time, it was still deep down. So if you get rid of that kind of stuff, which they have done obviously now with replacing those 2 players, then I think they're going to have a better chance, honestly. The skill is always there for those kind of players, and once you sort of get that good quality in terms of the atmosphere and the environment in a team, you can only become stronger. So I think they could easily make top 3, if not top 2, and who knows, top 1 as well.
Dang.
Who knows, man?
All right, some big goals set out for the new BMG roster, we'll see. Say it, Rox, do you think these guys have a chance here?
If they play like they played today, they're going to get top 3. Tangifit is very solid drafter. I saw him pull up some really solid drafting, something that a lot of the new teams on the block, the teams Quincy just mentioned, they haven't quite. I only see it coming out. I watch a lot of scrims. You gotta understand that. And I see Sync consistently drafting some really solid lineups, and I know Tangifit can do that as well. I know he has the ability to do it, and he has experience to do it. The question is, will he do it? If he does it, they will definitely get top 3. They will most likely get top 2, because there's not a lot of other teams I would see be able to draft as well. So yeah, I expect them to get top 3.
Yeah, we can't underrate Own Me and Find as well as players. I mean, these are players that have been around for a long time. I want to say even since Season 1 from the beginning, really. So. It's not like these are new players in a sense of unknown. I mean, these are definitely established players. You're not on the top tier teams by any means, but they have been around for a long time, definitely competed with the best of them, and no doubt very solid replacements to fill the shoes of what is Zibe and support there. So We'll see how that fares for them this week, and of course that with their disappointing finish, they're going to kind of be one of those middle seeds in the next bracket. It's unfortunate we don't have the brackets here because I would have loved to take a look at them, but we'll have to wait until later on in this week, I guess, to see what the brackets look like and how the matchups are going to play out. But all right, here. So now we still got plenty more to talk about as far as Cycle 6 is concerned, and even more. But we're gonna change the schedule a little bit here. Waza, he has something to do here in the near future, so we want to get him on. We want to go into our next topic here as a result, and allow him to kind of describe what the deal is, and then we'll have our own discussion from there. But anyways, just to make sure that he can get on, and it's always fun to talk with Waza here and get him on the podcast. So here we go. Let me go ahead and drag him in right here. Give him a call. Now, what we're going to do here, Waza, are you there?
Yeah.
Right.
Aha.
There he is.
Does he have a webcam?
I do.
I can't.
Like Catherine.
I mean, if you want, like you guys.
I want to see him.
I can't.
I stole Breaky's. I went on his computer and I jacked it.
Thank you.
He looks like such
Better
a gangster.
return it nicely.
Pirate gangster.
Hey, you know what? I could throw you on here just because. People
Just show it. Look at you.
There we go.
You can look at our one of the designers is gone. He's kind of hiding. And then this fella here. He's a new designer. Wave at the camera so they can see you. No, he doesn't.
Fancy.
He's a fancy bird. He don't like doing it. See, that's fancy bird over there.
He really just wants you to shut up right now.
Okay.
That's the look
Anyway,
he's giving you.
let's get.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, we have a big designer meeting, and I'm kind of holding off the designer meeting to talk to all you fine gentlemen. So,
all right, let me lead into what the deal is here. So basically, we're being joined by Waz here. If you don't know yet, guys, there's a video that was released on this, an announcement yesterday. But anyways, a new change coming up this patch here. That's this Wednesday, so tomorrow even. Award slot is going to be introduced. Slot meaning so you got the 6 inventory slots as usual, but awards are now going to have their own slot, so they will not take up inventory space. Of course, a huge change for support players, and then fun stuff as well. We got avatars for the awards on top of it. So a couple things here, but Aaron's on aka Waza to talk about more so the slot itself and what the impact is. What was the idea? So I'll let you take it over here. So what's the deal with these award slots?
Right. So the award slot was something that we wanted. Of course, everybody who's played support notices that it takes up a slot in your inventory, and that's a bummer. And especially with supports having to buy a bunch of little trinkets and gadgets. You got like bracers, or you're building up to an Astroblade, or you've got pieces of Shield of the 5 or something in your inventory. You got a couple totems and like a mana battery, and you're just kind of running out of slots. So we wanted to make that more simple for people. We wanted to give them the ward skins, and we wanted to bring something into the support patch that supports could really get behind. And I don't think you'll find a single support player out there who's not really excited just to get that extra inventory slot. Inventory efficiency for people who might not know is actually a pretty big deal. So getting a free slot to drop a ward is huge, and we wanted to bring that to the players. We did not do Wards of Revelation, obviously, because that would significantly nerf Invis Heroes and Bound Eye and all that kind of stuff. So only Wards of Sight, and so we're interested to see how that will work out, how people will take that. Obviously, the skins are fun stuff, but yeah, we like to see. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out in actual games and see what people think about it. But
yeah,
that alongside with the wonderful support patch that's coming out, not this patch, but the following, right? Or have we not mentioned that yet? Did I just say something?
Oh, leaks!
I believe we've said that before, to be fair, but just in case they missed it, yes, the support patch, that's big balance patch. That's gonna
It's a big balance patch on supports, but we're doing a lot of
I was gonna say, yeah, it's not just supports, but that's a big focus, no doubt. So it's almost, you could say it's so big to the point, get a little bit out beforehand. That's kind of what we're doing here with the ward slots, you could say. So
yeah, we wanted to do the ward skin stuff, and they thought, well, don't do just the ward skins, put in the ward slot. And I was like, no, you're messing up my support patch. I want it to be all glorious. And they're like, but Laza, look at all this other cool shit we're putting in the support patch. Can't we just bump this up? And I was like, yeah, you can give it to him early.
Well, thank you.
That's how the whole conversation.
I guess
had nothing to do with it.
So we have to all thank Waza here. Everyone sent his message.
But yeah, no, it was something about just giving you guys a little bit more ahead of time. That's all.
Cool. And this is something, it's what's going to be going in as far as tournament rules and everything. It'll be in that and everything. No need to keep it out, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no. Veiled Rot's also coming to tournament play. I would love to hear what the competitors think about Veiled Rot.
Okay. Well, I mean, so that was one of the topics that we were going to bring up as well, so might as well, since you did bring it up. Veiled, I guess you pronounce it veiled?
Veiled.
Veiled.
Rot, the mushrooms. Basically, of course, it makes you invis, and for a certain time, the haunt version of dust here. What that is, so yeah, as you just announced, it is going to be coming into this patch, so tomorrow, right? So for this cycle, it should be eligible in tournament rules. Okay.
Yeah, that was another thing that we almost forgot it, but Breaky, being the baller that he is, he was like, hey, what about Veiled Rot? And we were like, oh, yeah.
That. I want to see it. Well, that's I'm glad we're putting it in because exactly. I don't know. I really don't know if we're gonna see it or if it's just gonna be a thing like Ion Stone where support picks it up but nobody else.
Well, yeah. One of the things is that I've gotten SBT testing is I put Veiled Rot in the observatory so that you can grab it out of the observatory.
That's nice.
That's not going into this patch, but it is being tested right now. But right now, it's just going into tournament rules. We'll kind of get a feel for it, see what it's doing. And then if it's not getting enough play, we'll probably run it over to the observatory.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go. St. Rocks, I mean, you have your pro player experience here. What do you think of Veiled Rot?
I think there's a really great chance that it will shake up what we're doing currently. Sync is already moving away from junglers, but I think that's a trend that's going to keep going. With the Veiled Rot, it's going to, of course, like I am just stating the obvious here, it's going to promote more active plays, more roaming. The one thing, I would like to see it being more easily used by people who are so we did this ward slot. That's great for supports. That's great for supports, but a carry is not going to be who is going to carry the Veiled Rot for the carry late game? Who has slots, an extra slot for Veiled Rot? I want to see a Veiled Rot slot.
Just start adding slots for all different items.
Yeah, so eventually just have an inventory and a bunch of squares around.
Exactly, yeah. No, but you get my point. In Dota, it's so great because you can actively gank with the entire team because one support is carrying it. In Han, it's not going to be the same thing. Everyone needs to carry it if you want to do something like that. So it's most likely just going to be a couple of roamers that's going to roam around and upset the laning phases, which of course will be nice. But later on, I think it's going to be great. Conclusion is it's going to be great. Right. Hopefully, when competitors start picking it up, public, the TMM kind of community will also start picking it up because it's really not blown up in TMM at all. But I think as soon as some of the competitive teams starts making it work, it will take off.
We know it usually works that way than the other. So like what you're saying, where if the competitors start doing it, then the TMMC will start kind of picking up on it and be like, okay, and then it becomes a universal thing. So
I don't know. I think with Veiled Rot is that I think it's a great item, but I don't think it's enough in that respect because, Veiled Rot, I mean, the one issue we probably have in competitive scene right now is that there's a lot of passivity before 10 minutes. There's not a lot of early rotations in terms of supports, and I don't think Veiled Rot will do too much because of that because it's still 100 gold, and it's not AoE either. So if you're running 2 dual supports, then you're gonna have to have one Veiled Rot on each of those supports and 100 gold on an early support is a big investment. It's decent and all, but I think if it was AoE, then obviously it's only half the gold in terms of if a support wants to make a rotation. But I think it's good. Don't get me wrong, but I think it maybe needs a slight push in that right direction, perhaps. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. I think.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Oh yeah.
I mean, no one really knows what to expect.
We created it. We obviously had Dota. We realized we saw what Smoke was doing, and we wanted. The ability of Smoke can completely upend the laning phase, right? It can just completely throw everything on its head. And we didn't want somebody to be able to buy something that could just make this entire team focus throw around. We wanted to come at a price. We wanted that the amount of money you invested into doing this gank was costing you a good amount of your gold income to possibly switch up and give you guys a winning advantage. So that's why it has the cost and everything attached to it, and why it's not AoE.
But what about if you put a CD on it, then wouldn't it have a nerf in itself, but be more useful for supports? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. And
Yeah,
we'll be looking
like
at
it,
it,
though. I like
making
it.
sure. Yeah, we'll be making sure that it hits, the right amount of play. We definitely don't want to do an Ion Stone, which there's mistakes have been made. The design team is working on, and I do want to take the time to tell the people watching this, the people that love Han, that the design team is working on a lot of things to switch up the game, to change the flow. You're not going to get your run-of-the-mill balance. You're not going to get your run-of-the-mill hero releases. 2015 is going to be a good year. We are going to be switching up a lot of stuff. In fact, I've got a meeting that they're all waiting on right now where we're going to be discussing a lot of things that I can't tell you about. But and now the train is a good time for me to leave.
Okay.
So
can you leak something?
Vindicator's being removed. That's what we're getting at.
Vindicator's getting overhauled. A lot of things are getting overhauled. A leak for tomorrow. Do we need a leak? Do I need a leak? I can't be on the stream and not leak something.
Yeah, you got to leak something. Give us.
This is why we love
Second solstice is coming out.
Okay. Something that's a little leak, a baby leak, a little bit, right?
Sausage wasn't true.
The jungle camps are being kind of overhauled to not be so incredibly douchey, to like pull and stack and stuff.
Oh,
So
good.
Thank you.
get ready to see a lot of
sand
switching and changing things in the
Get rid
jungle
of animals.
to make it not so incredibly miserable to try to like stack. Like
you
Antu or
remove
Healer
animals,
can go fucking kill itself.
Suck a
Yeah,
dick,
yeah.
man. That camp could suck dick.
So that'll be the little leak. Be ready for it. It's a good patch. It's got a lot of other stuff besides support stuff in it too. Like it's a bunch of cool shit. Anyways, I gotta roll. I love all you guys.
All right.
Rock on.
Thanks, Waza.
right.
Appreciate it as always.
Peace, guys.
There we go. So Waza joining us there from, of course, the Han office. So I know what you got. I see him in chat right there. He's probably pretty excited to hear about that jungle change as well. So, always fun to have him on, not only for good information, but there's the inevitable leak or two that he does throw in there. So this one wasn't as big as we've had in the past, but hey,
Look at his Skype picture, man.
it's something. Yeah, I know,
It's
right?
still on stream.
People have some weird stuff on Skype. Anyways. So, okay, yeah, that's a good discussion there about Val's route. So that was the other thing, of course, that we were going to bring it up. And speaking of Cycle 6, so kind of already having that discussion in a sense. I just don't know. I really think it's going to be, it's a comfort thing for a lot of teams right now to the not using it. So I'm not going to bother. But at the same time, hey, if one team may start using it and all of a sudden it'll bring attention and it could snowball. So I don't know. From what history tells us, I just have a strong feeling that we're not going to see it.
Right.
At least
I was talking with Hanskin at DreamHack. I met up. He's one of my good friends.
Okay.
And he was like, he was getting into Dota now. He's getting into Dota. He got a good team with Arrow. If you guys probably remember that guy.
I do.
Anyway, so he got a good team going, and he's like, the smoke is so hard to use. I still don't know how to use it. It's like, because I think we're gonna have a transition phase here where a lot of teams are gonna be experimenting, trying to figure out when to use it and when it's actually just a waste of 100 gold. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
That brings up a great point too, because just because it's been in the game doesn't mean teams have been practicing with it. Because if it's not in tournament rules, what's the point? What's the point of practicing with it if you can't use it in your actual matches? So you don't see teams practicing with it in scrims, obviously, because those are set to tournament rules usually. So now that it is available or will be tomorrow's patch, then we'll start seeing practice with it. But yeah, as far as practical use, I don't think until maybe at least Cycle 7. Especially, we do have a bit of a break here, kind of unfortunately at the same time. But after Cycle 6, there will be another lengthy break due to the holidays once again. But so maybe that'll be the time where Cycle 7 comes around to maybe start seeing it. So, but hey, it's at least going to become eligible. So we'll see. Mini or Quincy, any other comments on that before we move on?
No, I think it's a good step in the right direction. And I think if we are going to see it at all, it's going to be from like mid gankers, like Bubbles, like Chipper, those kind of heroes that can afford the 100 gold to set up a gank. But in terms of early rotations from supports, I think we'll still have the same, perhaps. Although I don't know, who knows really? I can't tell you.
I gotta ask, Minnie. What is it like? You have an interesting get up. I mean, you got a T-shirt on. You got like full on gloves on. I mean,
what?
It's
Hey, like, guys. Yeah.
Who wears watches anymore?
Oh,
Wait,
boy.
wasn't that the plan? We were gonna sneak on more and more close during the cast.
Why did
Probably
you
ha-
That's
tell
probably
him
had
kind
a
of
say?
plan.
what Minnie's doing.
Why did you tell him say that?
Was that a thing? That might have been a
was a
thing.
thing.
Oh, see, I just
That was a thing.
okay. Well, I
You
called
ruined
you out.
it.
So you ruined it, and well, I ruined it more so.
It's fine.
Then.
It's quite cold in
Cut
here.
you early in
though.
the
'Cause I've got my windows open because I'm trying to get rid
Yeah,
of the smoke
You're
and
first
like
world living on your own problems.
I'm
man.
gonna scream cap your pants if you get out. By the way.
I'm getting up
Oh,
soon.
boy.
So
Quincy,
you ready,
was there something that you wanted to add?
Unveiled Rot, yeah. I think Minnie's right that the gold cost is going to be significant, and that's going to inhibit some people from getting it. But I'm much more on Saint's boat of this is going to start to really shake up the metagame, because it's not just going to be roaming's going to be more viable. Right now, we basically never see anybody roam. It's sure people make lane transitions, but there's no like true roaming strategies that really get played too much. Veiled Rot's going to change that. I think it's also going to bring some heroes into the metagame that basically need the portal key but can't get it because they don't have enough farm. Blacksmith is a good example. I think Blacksmith's going to be a lot more powerful if you can get up right in somebody's face and drop a fireball on them. And that's going to be great. Witchlayer, anybody with a stun that needs to get in close is going to have this opportunity. And it's going to be much more consistent during the laning phase and maybe even in the mid game. And they're going to be Minnie's pants, which are absolutely... that guy. But anyway, I think it's going to get picked up. It's not going to be like we see it on every hero every single game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it adds some heroes to the meta and if it forces people to be a little bit more careful about how they play and be a little more active.
Here's the thing. You can either get Veiled Rot or you can pick up Revenant, I feel like. I mean, it's like one of the two. I mean, we've already seen a bit of Revenant. Now, it's been a little bit here, I guess, but it seems like that, you know, I don't know. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
The advantage is basically that you can get Revenant without having to pick Revenant and without having to have Revenant nearby.
yeah.
So you can put it on a hero that has a stun as opposed to only a slow like Revenant has. And that's going to be a lot more valuable.
There you go. Well, yeah, so that, and then again, the ward slot change, it's going to be interesting also kind of seeing that it being an impact. And that's one of those things, you know, as a spectator, you probably won't notice too much. But as a player, I'm sure it's pretty cool. And as a support player especially, so.
Yeah, to follow up on that,
Yeah.
if you play against a Revenant, you expect Revenant ganks.
Right.
That's
You're
fair.
not necessarily
True.
going to expect a smoke gank. So
That's very fair.
else you're going to exhaust the opponent's support, and he's just going to buy so many counter wards, he will not have anything out. Like, he will be like 20 minutes no boots. So, yeah, just follow up.
No, very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point to bring up. And that's one of those things, too, that, you know, the sooner you start using Veiled Rot and your strategies, the less, you know, people are going to expect it. So that's almost like a case of, like, maybe teams should look into using it here at this cycle coming up to kind of catch people off guard. So, all right. Yeah, now that's going to be fun, though, to see. If we do see it, maybe Cycle 7, maybe later. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, starts this weekend, Cycle 6, guys. All right, so kind of catching up where we were. So we've already done the Veiled Rot part, but there was another topic here in what was Cycle 6 coming up. Kind of taking off what we had here from Cycle 5, where both of the gold teams have to stay in Rexstars and Trekken's Love. We got two new gold teams advancing on here. We got Reason Gaming and Prime Icarus now joining the ranks here in Diamond for Cycle 6. What are their chances? What do we think both of them will perhaps stay in Diamond Division, or at least one of them, if not both of them, get knocked back down? Quincy, we'll start with you.
I, again, love PI. I think they're going back to gold. Reason Gaming is probably staying. They've been looking really, really good recently, and most of the competitive scene seems to think that they are one of the top 5 teams, which makes their initial demotion a little bit interesting. But outside of that, I don't really see any reasonable possibility that Reason Gaming gets knocked down once again. But I think PI is getting better, and they're very close to being able to be a consistent Diamond team. But their other problem is there are a lot of teams that are on the fence right there with them. And they're going to have to show that they're demonstrably better than Dawn and Rexstars and Ogre and various other teams, Night Raid, etc. Some of which are in Diamond, some of which are not. But the point is that they're going to have to beat Sync in the first round, and that's not an easy thing to do. And if they can't do that, then they're going to have to beat whoever that goes to Lizardback with them, which is probably also not going to happen. So sorry, Shortcan, but I think you guys are going back down to gold again next cycle.
All right. Mini Maggot, what do you think?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Reason Reason I definitely stand in Diamond without a doubt. I mean, they won. I know it's only the 5v5 cup, but they've been looking so strong recently. And I know it sounds strange, but I think them dropping down to gold was actually a blessing in disguise, because when they were in Diamond, they got 1 or 2 games, and then they'd get like knocked out, and they'd be like 5th or 6th. They went down to gold, and they played every single match all the way through to grand finals, and they played incredibly well. They seemed very experienced, and they seem to have a new strategy as well. Like, I don't want to obviously leak their plans, but from what I was seeing, they had some really innovative strategies. Actually, they played a similar way to sort of Tree, in the sense that they had like the secondary support farming, like Behemoth, and just, man, they looked really strong. And I think I'm not sort of hype them up too much, but I think they could be a real contender to be like, in the finals.
Yeah,
who knows, man? They're looking good, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Prime Makers to me is one of those teams we just don't really have a whole lot of info to go with. Again, they've been in Diamond before, as we're talking about, but they got knocked out right away. And you look at some of their players, Znui, Ceratus comes to mind, but somewhat of a lesser experienced team. And again, being matched up against Sync, it's almost like, right off the bat. Now, from our perspective, figure at least they're going to get knocked in the losers bracket. Hey, but from their perspective, I'm sure you got to go into it. Hey, you can beat them. We'll see. St. Rocks, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump on the same boat as you guys. Recent Gaming is definitely going to stay there. I might say they're going to contend for top 3. They've been looking really strong, as Minimega just said. I think after they swapped out the price with Immerboy again, back to the normal position, he's been doing a really solid job of drafting. I think they definitely have a good shot at top 3. They're not gonna drop the gold. When it comes to Prime Icarus, I haven't seen them scrimming a whole lot, and that makes me wonder a little bit where they stand. Like, usually, not hearing from a team is not a good sign, and I haven't seen them scrim on a whole lot. So I don't want to go out on uncharted territory, but I think QUINCY might be right here. They might be in for a tough battle here.
Yeah. Is this the same recent team that actually, that did get knocked on a goal? Is this the same roster?
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
It
Price
is.
was drafting. Price was drafting last time.
Price was drafting.
Okay,
They
so
were-
now Imba Boy's back to drafting, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. See,
Maybe
Somebody said very critically
he can
that
draft. He can draft.
Imba Boy learned how to draft.
Yeah.
Because
he can
before
draft now.
Imba Boy's drafts used to be a little
Well,
bit iffy, and he's been a lot better recently.
The thing is, when I was like around when I got kicked. Yes, I got kicked. When I was around that point, the team was just in like in a demotivated state. They were like, the gears were not really grinding together. It was just not going. And I think as Minimag said, when they got down to gold and Immerboy started picking up the pieces, I think they got together, and they definitely feels like they have a well-oiled machinery going here.
Yeah.
By the way, something that goes in favor of Prime Icarus, I heard that Tremble is going to be. Oh wait,
Oh man,
I can't say
hero,
it.
that hero
I can't.
is broken.
Can I say that?
Tremble's
Is he
not
going to be
coming back
released?
in, is he?
He's not coming back. I don't know actually. We all know Certus. He plays a lot of Tremble, so
Yeah,
I
sure
don't know.
is.
I thought he might be coming.
I honestly don't know if that is the case. I would say if it is,
It
then
should be. It should
then
be,
the
no?
players
Because-
should be aware of it, because that
Well,
would
I
be
mean,
kind
to
of
say-
a.
If
there's a lot of-
Veiled Rot is, then surely Tremble should be as well, right?
That's
We'll
what
find out
that's what
tomorrow.
I was
I
thinking.
don't know. Yeah, if you saw that, I honestly don't know. I haven't looked at the patch notes myself, that are going to be released tomorrow, so I can't say. But.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. If Tremble gets released, Certus definitely in for. I might have to pull back my statement about Prime Icarus. They're going to the top. There you go.
We have a bunch of trolls on this podcast, man.
I have to back the eye up a little bit. They do scrim Saint. Maybe you don't know.
Oh, I
'cause you don't
haven't seen
care,
Do they?
But
Okay.
they scrim a fair bit. I talked to Snappy Shortcan
I mean,
a lot, and
I
they
just
scrim.
missed him.
they,
That's on me. That's on
You're
me.
not
That's
wrong.
on-
You're not wrong. I don't think. Like I said, I don't think that they're going to stay in Diamond for very long. They're getting better, but they're probably at least a couple of weeks away from being a consistent Diamond team if they get there eventually. They do need to tighten some stuff up, I think. They have some issues with when Certus doesn't get farm. They have problems winning games, and banning out Shorcan is basically like ban Parasite because he's a fantastic Parasite player, and he's a good player in general. He's a very good jungle player, but he's so much better on Parasite, stuff like that.
Are you giving people good ideas to deal with them?
Yeah, I'm telling people how to beat PI.
Deal with Certes and then deal with...
Come on, Sync Esports, give her
ban Parasite and,
well, I mean,
and shut
you know,
down
Keizu's been playing a lot of
how...
Dota 2 lately, so he's not going to be as prepared, so we're just going to help him out there, you know, making sure that they're ready.
No, I think that should be mentioned, though. I don't know if we want to mention it, but I think...
I mean...
Yeah,
what are we scared?
We can talk about it.
Yeah, it's.
I think though, with him moving over though, I think Sync will be a little bit weakened. Like not only because obviously K's. Yeah, I didn't want to overemphasize it, but I think they will be a lot weaker though. The reason being is because not only will KZ be a little bit worse, like the whole motivation of the team will be dropped, and obviously I know the 5 Cup isn't that big of a deal, but with them like not getting any money from that tournament, it's like a slight like demotivational factor. There we go. And it kind of can spiral out of control. Like you don't get good results. You're like, oh crap, I don't want to practice on, and then they don't do it, and then they become a crap team, and then they turn to bronze team.
I
don't know, man.
It's not another question. It really isn't. I mean, it's definitely that possibility is there.
It kind of happened to BMG, like the old BMG kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. To an extent, it did. But that's that. Something tells me that's gonna have very little impact, at least initially. You know, as time goes on, maybe. But yeah, that's for only time to tell as you go back to there. All right, so yeah, I really am intrigued about Prime Icarus and seeing what that, because I do like the players on that team, as you mentioned. You know, Certus, and hey, if Tremble is unbanned or eligible again, who knows? Maybe he'll be seen and doing some work.
Oh, and don't let Slasky Red get a hooking hero because he
guy.
plays Gauntlet. He plays Gauntlet and Prisoner like. Really well.
Scouting report here for Sync Esports. QUINCY helping them out.
Not like they need the help.
That's fair.
Because this is going to be the difference between PI beating Sync or not. And I'm sure that Sync is completely unaware of everything that PI does because they wouldn't do any research or anything like that.
Yeah, you never know.
Boy.
Next, okay, so that's Cycle 6 again, guys. I know I've said this a lot, but just to really we've been a little bit of a break here, so I want to make a point again. We are going to be coming back this weekend, guys, for what is Cycle 6, 12 p.m. Eastern, 1800 Central European Time. We got a round of 8 going to be kicking it off as usual, and then leading on into the weekend and then following the next weekend, of course. So it's I'm already so pumped to get back. You know, we obviously got until Saturday here. It's only Tuesday, but still, it's coming, and it's a good feeling knowing that it is around the corner here. As I'm sure we can all say here. So look forward to that. Now, we still got a couple more things to talk about before we really wrap things up here. I know, we're hitting that hour mark here, so we don't want to take too much more time. But we'll start with the we've mentioned it a couple times. This last weekend, the 5v5 Cup Live Rounds tournament happened. And this is kind of a special, promoting tournament and everything. Live Rounds, of course, one of the new features that Han has really been pushing and promoting lately with this Overwolf here. Basically, it's a interacting. It's kind of like Skype, but at the same time, you can use webcam purpose in game, and it's also just a good communication tool. So check it out if you'd like. But anyways, that tournament was hosted. I think it was like a $3,000 prize pool as well as prizing on top of that. So pretty solid weekend tournament, especially with no Han tour there. Minnie, you actually casted it with Beef, as we mentioned, and I know people tuned in, I'm sure. What was your thought overall on the event? First off, I mean, how'd you think it went?
Yeah, it was pretty good actually. There was a few minor technical difficulties that me and Beef faced a little bit, but we carried on going through it, and it was a good tournament overall, really. Obviously, in the end of the finals was between Reason and Nullstone Gaming.
Yeah.
Yes, I casted it, I can't remember, but yeah. So obviously BMG and Sync not being there, and it was really good fun. I'm really glad we did it, and got some good games of Han actually near the end as well. So overall, good.
You mentioned that, and also you brought it up earlier too. Thunderbringer was picked up by Reason, and they won. That was the second game, and it was like a 60+ minute game that they ended up winning to take the grand finals.
They wrecked with it, and I think there is a legitimate place for it in Han. The first time we ever saw it was obviously when BMG were back in the day, and they were running a lot of tri-lanes. They played a lot with Bombardier as well. But now, it can still work. Even if you get a 1v1 matchup, it can work. And even if you are against a 1v2 matchup, you can still get a lot of farm because you can just spam out that chain lightning. Yeah. And as long as your positioning is good, you'll be fine. And so, heroes like that and tournaments like that allow for a bit of innovation, trying out the new heroes. So I'm all for it, man, and it was awesome.
Definitely.
So, go Thunderbringer. And Pandemonium, by the way, competitive players need to play Pandemonium because that shit is really good.
Hey, it worked 3 years ago. Maybe it'll work today.
Make it happen.
Congratulations again to Recent Gaming for taking that tournament, again, taking their share of the prize pool, as well as I believe they got some sweet headsets or something like that. So feeling pretty good, I'm sure. Hopefully they'll still with the runner up there. All right, so now this next topic here, again, I'm not going to go too much in depth, but it's kind of a little bit of a preview to kind of get the discussions rolling here. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, hey, we're in December here. That means we're wrapping up what is 2014. And as we've done now, we've had, I want to say, either 2 or 3, maybe even 3 year awards before. But anyways, we're going to do another yearly award here for the year 2014. As always, we've had plenty happen throughout this year, from not only Season 2 of Hontour, but of course going to Season 3 now. There's a couple of bigger topics that I thought it'd be worth kind of discussing here, including perhaps the team of the year, as well as the player of the year and everything. Now, see, these are always interesting because we were kind of talking about this before even the podcast, how you really got a year's a long time. I know that's not a crazy thing to say that, but a year is a long time. So you have to remember, I mean, Season 2 of Hontour, actually, the later part of it at least, took place in, for the most part, 2014. And then, of course, eventually the grand finals in Thailand, which Stay Green ended up winning it all. So you got teams to think about, like not only Stay Green, but the former BMG team, the former Sync team even you could pick up there. Then, of course, you got nowadays, you got now Sync, and then, other teams here maybe throwing some discussion. But so I want to kind of throw it around here. What do you guys think as far as, we'll start with the team of the year. Is it Stay Green, or do you guys have any fight for some of these other teams?
It has to be SG, without a doubt.
Many things Stay Green, nothing else, no possibility?
Nope, SG.
SG all the way. Quincy, what do you think?
I don't know. We've had one LAN this year, right? The only one was the Hontour Season 2 finals, because we didn't have DreamHack, and I'm not crazy, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so technically the only team to win a LAN this year is continued to be Stay Green, right. which isn't that bad. I don't know how much that counts, because there's only one, but I think SG's in the running. I think you do have to consider Sync as a candidate for the team of the year, because SG was there, but they were only there for several months, and at least Sync has been around for the entire year. They weren't really the top team for most of that time, but with how good they've been in the last several months of Hontour, and they were still very good at the end of Hontour Season 2 and in CIC, so I think they're probably going to end up getting my vote. BMG, the other one that you have to consider, but their run of dominance was mostly limited to online stuff, and they had some issues when it came to LANs. They also weren't as far ahead of the competition as I think Sync is right now, which is not really something that BMG can control by themselves, so maybe it's not fair to judge them entirely on that, but I think Sync is going to end up getting my vote.
Yeah. So, Minnie, you're set on Stay Green and nothing's changing your minds?
Unfortunately not, boys. I don't know, I just think, like, I know they're out the scene, but, I mean, if we're still going for it, like, it has to be, because they were the best team in Hon. Like, obviously, Fnatic were amazing, but Stay Green did things that Fnatic didn't. And, I mean, who knows? But
they ran Keeper and Tempest. You're right. They ran it very well.
Well, I mean, if like, I know it was boring and everything, but if there's a strategy to be exploited there, if there's a strategy to be abused, then why not do it, I'm all about having that advantage, and Stay Green made it, so.
St. Rocks, what do you think here? What would you...
Wait, so we got one vote for Sync, one vote for Stay Green, or...
That's about where we are.
Okay, we're not necessarily voting right now.
Right.
It's more so just giving our thoughts, but...
Okay. I'm going to go with BMG.
So the former BMG, I'd take it.
The former BMG.
Not this BMG, yeah.
Well,
why would that be?
No offense. Because I like the guys. They let me stay with them at DreamHack.
This isn't a popularity contest, St. Rock.
Shit. Well, I still think they did great things. Like they were like the only team that actually could compete with Stay Green for the longest time. And I mean, I just think like they were definitely there. They were the underdogs, sure, but I always had like I don't know. I just feel I think if they were still competing against Stay Green, they would still have my vote. Even though they were losing, they would still be the team that made it interesting instead of just having one team dominating. I think BMG was I'm going to go with BMG.
All right, I mean that's fair, and to kind of back that up a little bit too. It is hard to say to an extent that with them not winning the grand finals of season 2 that to pick BMG over Stay Green, but BMG was more dominant in the later part of season 2 when that took place in 2014, because started in 2013 technically. So you can look at the regular season impact and how dominant they were against Stay Green and take that into a lot of consideration too. And then ultimately, hey, they got to the finals of the grand final. It's not like they even lost before. And don't even forget, too, Sync Esports, former Denial that then, changed to Sync right before the tournament, but they almost beat Stay Green in the semifinals. They were actually very close to beating Stay Green and what could have made a Sync versus BMG grand finals, and that would have been pretty crazy in itself, of course. So, I do think there is some good argument for BMG because of that. But it's going to be hard to see, it is hard to say, though, that Stay Green wasn't ultimately the most dominant. I will say in 2013, when they actually did, they are the previous champions, Stay Green definitely deserved it a lot more then.
This one's closer. This
Much
one's
closer.
kind of like,
Absolutely. Well, there you go. So, Team of the Year, again. So the idea with this, just to also reiterate, so these, again, we're not voting here necessarily. We're not announcing anything. This is a good discussion going. Ultimately, we want to actually open up some polls for you guys, as we've done in the past, and allow you guys to vote. Allow you guys to vote for not only Team of the Year, Player of the Year, but a bunch of different categories that are both, for to really get an idea, but also just for fun. like the Streamer of the Year, myself, most likely going to win. So, things like
nice.
But no. So we'll look forward to that. I don't know. We don't have an exact date when that's going to become, but later this month, before the year's over, will be the idea, of course. So. So there's one more that I wanted to just kind of get the discussion going here before ultimately wrapping things up. Player of the Year. This is always an interesting one, too. There's a lot of different ways to look at Player of the Year, from their impact of the team to if you were to remove this player, it's not Mini Maggot. Start off with that. First off, you had to play in Diamond Division to be considered for this. So
that's true. Or even Gold.
Hey, I played Diamond. I played Diamond before. I'm just saying. So, but anyways, okay. So what I was going at, as far as deciding this, it's always interesting to me as far as MVP and sports and everything, because there's a lot of ways to look at it. What you can look at it the way, if you were to remove that player, how much of an impact would it have on the team? Or you can look at it just from pure stats, which player just ultimately have the greatest stats. A lot of carry players get a lot of attention, just however you want to look at it. So are there any names coming to mind? I'm sure there are, but Quincy, again, we'll start with you. What names are maybe coming to you, if one, if not multiple? But
I think a couple of Sync players, Keizu and Mickey, are very, very impactful in their particular roles, and in many ways head and shoulders above their opposition when it comes to Suicide and mid players. If Keizu and Mickey get off to a good start, it's so hard to take Sync down. You can't do it. Twitch chat actually brought up a really good point. Fuzi has to be considered, because considering where BMG was with Flensmeister and then where they were when Fuzi joined that team, they were so much better. And it's easy to forget about him, of course, because he hasn't been playing, for good reason, I would say, in the last couple of months. But if you want to talk about how much impact a single player had on a team, maybe it was coincidence, but the fact that BMG went from, Lions and we're a top 5 team, we're a good team, but we're not consistently winning cycles, to we are going to win most of the cycles in the last part of Han Tour. We are considered easily at least the second best team in Han Tour. If we're not the best, we're going to go then dominate CIC for a while. Fuzi made a really, really, really big impact on that team. So those might actually be my top 3 right now. Outside of that, I don't know. Probably Fuzen.
Yeah, that Fuzen. That's a double take there.
Fuzen. Nice.
I'm just throwing a random name out there to see if anybody's paying attention.
Just throw it in. I had to do double take, but that is very interesting you bring up about Fuzi. I know, it could be easy to say that's kind of a sympathy thing. It really is unfortunate, but at the same time, no, you are right. He really
outside of the sympathy thing.
He really became much more of a prevalent carry player as the season went on. I mean, who was actually their carry player before that? I'm not honestly blanking.
It was Flensmeister.
It was. That's right. Yeah, as you brought it. Yeah, it was Flensmeister. So. And things started to change for them, and Fuzi was kind of that different factor in that sense. So that really is a good point. Obviously, Swindle Melons, I think you got it once again. That will be a name that I always go back to. For when he was here, and definitely still recognizable for what he did with Stay Green. And I think you could argue that he's probably the best captain we've ever had in Han history. So, God, this mini guy.
Sorry.
What do you think, Mitty? Who do you think is deserving?
There's only one player, isn't there? Foxy.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
No, come on though. Like I know I troll and all, but Foxy.
It's a good pick.
See, one of the other categories will be most entertaining player, and that I can see maybe Boxy winning, but
Yeah.
best player, I don't know.
Where's the hate from? Why is just because he's not on the best team doesn't mean he's. I don't know.
Are you saying Tree isn't the best team?
Well,
What are you
in terms
hating on
of
Tree?
stats.
This
Oh
is
my
what.
God.
What
Why are
is
you
this?
hating on Tree, man?
Say
This is
Ross,
a podcast.
Say what do you think?
I would go with so it's a nice point bring up Fuzi, but I think it was definitely Hanskin. He was the guy that directed the power that they had in Lions. He directed it into a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, I would definitely go with him. I mean, between him and Kyle, they're both really great captains.
Yeah.
And I think the teams, I don't think either of those teams would have gotten as far without them. So I definitely say it would be one of those.
And then we can't forget, I see, again, referring back to Twitch chat, Limp is no doubt another name that it's hard to pass up on.
Yeah, that's true.
Limp is very deserving. You look at Stay Green's success, and he was no doubt absolutely a big part of that. I remember, doing the before we had Quincy come along, I did what I could with the stats of my own, but with the very little I had, you could just see the Limp's numbers compared to every other, not only suicide player, but in general, as far as his kill to death and everything. It was ridiculous. And again, you saw that in the game as well. It wasn't just the stats. You definitely saw his impact in the game. So that would no doubt have to be another name. Hell, you can name off all of Stay Green, to be fair. Just like you could have for the most part of all of BMG to an extent. So I really think, and I brought this up before when we were talking about it too, these are going to be the best yearly awards simply because there is no certain, because we've had this kind of gap here of transitions of teams and players halfway through the year from Season 2 to Season 3. In the past we've had the Fnatic situation being so dominant, we've had the Stay Green being so dominant. It's not like that anymore. So I really am intrigued to see how this turns out here. I'm excited for it, so. Anything else from any of you guys on this whole topic here before we start to wrap things up?
So there's also Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey. Yeah.
I said that.
There's also Boxy.
Shit.
There's also
Oh.
there's also Boxy.
It's also Boxy.
All right.
There's also boxing.
So there you go. Get the discussion going there, and again, look for those. We're gonna have some behind-the-scenes discussions ourselves and start to create those topics and those ultimate polls there, and we'll come up with contenders for each of the categories, you could say, and then throw it out to the community as well to get their assistance on ultimately voting for the categories there. So again, I want to remind you, it's ultimately all for fun, guys. It's not like we're giving away anything for this, but it's also for fun, but to keep things interactive with you guys. So yeah, slicks. No, not this year, unfortunately, not this year. All right. That pretty much starts to wrap things up, though. With that said, there was actually one more announcement I wanted to make. For those that may have missed it, good old Souls Theater officially wrapped up at least the initial stages of choosing which one would win. And with that said, the winning map was the Greenlands. Greenlands, I believe that's the name of it. Anyways, it's Capture the Flag. The Capture the Flag map is the one that ultimately won it. Yeah, basically a Warsong Gulch, you can say. So they listed it up at the top. I'm going to kind of show it on screen right here. For you guys as well. It's no audio, but anyway, this video is up on the Heroes of New Earth channel. So we have the top four: the Dungeon Chasers, New Earth Defense, Castle Fighters, and then Greenlands, which ended up winning it. Now, what that means, so Greenlands, it's going to be worked on behind the scenes and really tuned up and everything, and ultimately put into matchmaking into the game. There is no set date on that, to be very clear. I know people constantly asking that. I don't know. There is no set date yet. There is no set date, but so just look forward to it, though. As far as the other maps go, there's no guarantee that they will also be put in, But it's not out of the question either. It's kind of one of those cases. So we'll see how things go. If there's a great reaction, especially to Greenlands, I think it's safe to say that, perhaps more can happen as a result of that. So I want to get your guys' thoughts real quickly. I don't know how much you guys paid attention ultimately to this, but what do you guys think about Greenlands winning it all? And are you excited for this capture the flag here? Quincy?
I'm disappointed. I wanted the TD map. I don't know. Capture the flag's fun. I'm okay with it, but I like tower defense. That's one of my. I love playing tower defense in Warcraft 3.
Talk about. Did you even play WoW back in the day?
I didn't play WoW. I played Warcraft 3.
Oh my god! Didn't even get max level.
I've played WoW for probably about 15 minutes in my entire life.
You call yourself a gamer?
Oh my goodness.
It's exactly why I call myself a gamer, because I am not playing WoW. WoW's not a game. It's a thing that happens to you and destroys your life.
It's a drug. I know.
It's a horrible thing.
Mate, it's the best drug.
I'm hooked back on it. I'm not gonna lie.
It's real bad.
This damn expansion pulled me.
I've lost friends.
Wait, what do you play? What do you play?
Let's not talk about that.
Oh, damn.
Come on, let's put this on
talk to me later.
All right, so what do you think, Minnie? Are you disappointed or you like the capture the flag?
No, it's got to be Warson Gulch, man. I was like Grand Marshal back in WoW. I'm going to smash this Warson Gulch.
It's not Warson Gulch. It's capture the flag.
Greenland's, whatever. I'm going to be number one. Is there a ladder? I'm going to be number one.
I don't know. Maybe. Sure.
I'm going to make it.
All right.
I'll make it.
St. Rocks, do you have any opinions on this?
I wanted the TD map as well. Yeah. TD is more fun.
Yeah.
But sure, it's good to have some rotations come out. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah.
It sounds fun.
I'm forming a team if you want to join me.
This guy's already prepping. I like it. I will say, actually, not to gloat or anything, but I did get the chance to actually try all the maps behind the scenes, and they were all pretty fun. I will say I didn't get to try Dungeon Chasers. I don't think really anyone did, to be fair, because it just ultimately didn't get finished to really kind of get in the testing phase. But anyways, point being, seemed like a good idea. But the other ones, the New Earth Defense one, the tower defense that you guys are bringing up, it was fun, but let's just say there was a lot of work that needed to be done with it to ultimately get it to a good point. And the thing for me with the tower defense, it's like knowing that only one of these is ultimately going to be implemented into the game, at least guaranteed. The repetitive value on a game like that, I just don't know if it's there. It's fun. I agree with you. I love tower defense from Warcraft and whatnot. I just don't know if that would have been there for that. So that's why especially I'm happy that Greenland's ultimately won it, because capture the flag, it has a great competitive atmosphere to it already, and that's what I'm really excited for, both as perhaps casting as well as playing myself and dominating on. But then also, it's going to be interesting to see all these strategies that come about and it really keeps the PvP, the true Heroes of New Earth nature that is.
I was going to say, it's like
so.
It's the most likely one to sort of be Hon. Like Legion TD is too passive kind of thing, too PvE.
What? It's different. It's different though. That's the thing. Like everything else is okay. It's Han. So then let's get something that's not exactly the same as Han. That was the best thing about Warcraft 3 was that the mod was so consistent. People were making all sorts of different games, and you could play whatever you wanted. And that's why that game was so popular. Because sure there was Dota, but there's all sorts of great maps.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt in that. Castle Fight was a lot of fun too. I will say that they really were a lot of fun. They really were. But ultimately one had to win it, and so that's the one that took it. So again, there is no ETA, so I don't know. I can't give you any information on that because again, I don't know myself.
It's coming next week, isn't it?
Hopefully, it's not coming next week. That I can guarantee.
Now it is.
That I can absolutely guarantee.
Confirmed.
All right, I think that does it. I think that'll start to wrap things up here on what has been another great Honcast podcast. A little bit longer than expected, but hey, nothing too wrong with that. Had some good topics to discuss here. As usual, we'll kind of go around here now in a circle and let you say your goodbyes. Any final words, Quincy? Once again, we'll start with you. What do you got here as shout-outs, anything here?
Yeah, I got shout-outs. I brought a list as usual. Frood, Radar, We Are Britain's, Borgle, and Zentrix, IRL friends. We built a map in Dota. It's fun. We'll go play it. I won't tell you what it is. You have to find it. I'm listed as a contributor, so you can figure out what it is. Yes, go play a game that's not Han. Don't do that. Actually, I've decided that no, never mind. But also to the rest of my co-casters, because do a lot of Gold Division stuff, and they show up consistently, which is great because nobody actually wants to hear me talk for that much time. Well, Minnie, I'd love to have you on if you would show up.
I said I would cast with you. I said I'd cast with you this one time, and you said no, sorry, I've already got full casters. So
well, totally shut him down.
Look, I had 2 people already. You really want to do a quad cast? That gets really problematic.
No, you just kick the other 2 casters.
Wow.
Yeah, well,
guy.
you were the third.
Do you
You
know
were
who
the
I
third one to
am?
show up. So if you want to be a little bit more timely
Joking,
next time,
Joking.
this guy thinks he's so important. But Enthos now, he's Shortcan, ALG, Cluckmuck, Art of Beaver Banger, because he keeps bugging me about getting shoutouts. Shut up, I gave you one, and that's it. Also, all other casters, I didn't mention everybody, but I love you all. Please don't leave me.
Boom. Mini Maggot, what do you got?
Not much really, other than I'm streaming more regularly now because I've got my wonderful flat, as you can see.
Yeah.
It's literally just a box room, but I call it my King's Castle, you know. But no, yeah, I'm going to be streaming a lot more regularly. Hopefully, like every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm streaming after this as well. So don't go over to Saint Rock's stream. Come over to mine.
Oh,
Joking.
let the
Joking.
Stream Wars begin. The question is, who will I host? That's the question.
Oh,
Oh.
Frank, look, I'm S2 like you.
Are you?
I don't think
you
I
are.
can beat her.
I've got
so
S2 powers. I've got S2 powers.
St. Rock's does too, doesn't he?
I had.
Go.
They kind of come and go.
They come.
Like-
That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see. St. Rock's, what do you got here?
I would like to shout out to my stream as well, and to my one online subscriber in the clan, Lavahund. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you to all the viewers out there for just making my stream possible. Means a lot to me, guys. I really taking a liking to it after I was left alone in the cold wastelands of not having a team. You guys were there warming me up. Thank you, and shout out to you guys for letting me be here. Means a lot.
Of course. It was a lot of fun as always. You did great, and thank you. Thank you for coming on here. Big shout out to really all you guys, especially Quincy and St. Rock's. I know you guys have been doing your own kind of scrim casting here, and say, you know, the Gold Diamond division and everything. And I really do appreciate, you know, I know a lot of people out there do, but it's great seeing those efforts from you guys. So big shout out to both of you, especially.
You hear that, Mini Maggot? You hear that?
Minnie,
Who was left out of that conversation?
Minnie, not so much.
Yeah.
He still has work to do.
No,
on
we don't care about him. No, he's gotta step it
I've
up.
got gloves. I've got gloves to keep me
he's
warm.
You do- That's
I
your
don't know
defense.
about
I've got
Saint
gloves.
I mean, Saint Rock's doesn't have a team to keep him warm, but I've got gloves, so.
Ah, jeez.
Man.
I gotta end this
It's true.
podcast before it just.
You don't have a team now either, Mini Maggot.
I'm S2. S2 team. Now go follow Saint
you don't have a
Rock's
team.
and watch him. Saint Rock's is prime.
Same.
All right.
I've
So,
been to-
Yo, meaning we're gonna play after, right?
Yeah, we can play.
are you both
Yeah.
streaming?
Yeah.
I
we
think
can
so.
play.
All right. I won't host anyone. I'll let the viewers go their ways and let them choose. All right. So check it out. You got twitch.tv/SlantRocks. You got twitch.tv/mini_maggot. I believe it is.
Yep.
And there you
Yep.
go. Anyways, have a good night, guys. We will see you next time. In fact, we'll see you on Honcast. What is this Saturday? For once again, we got Han Tour Season 3 Cycle 6 action going to be coming at you. Holy crap, it cannot come soon enough. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. We'll see you next time. Check out the other streams. Peace.